My family didn't book me a room on family trip, so I left. That's when my sister's lavish life fell apart. I'm 33 and I've spent my entire adult life trying to prove myself to a family that never saw my worth. As a research director at one of Chicago's leading pharmaceutical companies, I've built a life I'm proud of. My high-rise apartment overlooks the city skyline, a daily reminder of how far I've come. I'm more than comfortable and I've done it all on my own, no handouts, no family connections, just pure determination and an unwavering focus on my goals. The path here wasn't easy. I worked through college on a partial scholarship, taking night shifts at a local pharmacy to make ends meet. While other students were partying or taking spring break trips, I was buried in textbooks, determined to graduate at the top of my class. My parents never understood this drive. Why push yourself so hard, they'd ask. You should be focusing on finding a husband, starting a family. It was as if my ambitions were somehow threatening to them, a deviation from their prescribed script of what a woman's life should look like. But in my family's eyes, none of that matters. My sister Catherine has always been the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. A former flight attendant turned stay-at-home mom, she's mastered the art of appearance over substance. Her Instagram feed is a showcase of designer bags, luxury vacations, and picture-perfect family moments. Every post is meticulously staged, her daughter Amy in pristine private school uniforms, weekend brunches at exclusive restaurants, yoga sessions in designer athletic wear. What her followers don't see is the reality behind those glossy posts, a lifestyle completely dependent on our grandfather's monthly support, covering everything from her $5,000 mortgage to Amy's $30,000 annual private school tuition. They don't see the maxed-out credit cards, the bounced checks, or the frantic calls to grandfather when unexpected expenses arise. Catherine has perfected the art of living beyond her means while maintaining an image of effortless affluence. Our parents eat it up, though. Mom, a former beauty queen who never quite got over her glory days, sees Catherine as the daughter who properly followed in her footsteps. Dad, a mid-level insurance executive who spent his life trying to keep up with the Joneses, beams with pride at Catherine's apparent success. They've bought into her facade hook, line, and sinker, treating her lifestyle as the pinnacle of success while my achievements might as well be invisible. I've learned to live with it, to accept that no matter what I accomplish, it will never measure up to Catherine's theatrical performance of having it all. Our grandfather, though, was different. A self-made success in construction, he built his empire from the ground up, starting with a single truck and a handful of loyal workers in the 1960s. He understood the value of real achievement, of building something substantial rather than just maintaining appearances. He's the one who taught me about investments, about building real wealth instead of just the appearance of it. While my parents fawned over Catherine's latest designer purchase, he would sit with me for hours discussing market trends and business strategies. When he invited the whole family to spend Thanksgiving at the Breakers in Palm Beach, I thought maybe things would be different. Surely, in such a setting, my family would finally see me as an equal, as someone who had earned her place at the table. I should have known better. The moment I walked into that luxury hotel, reality came crashing down. The receptionist's polite confusion as she searched for my reservation was the first sign something was wrong. "I'm sorry, Ms. Walker, but I can only find reservations for your family members. There seems to be no room booked for you." My mother's response when I called her was like a slap in the face. "Oh, we just didn't think it was necessary for you to have a room. You're not married, you don't have children, and we thought you'd be fine with staying with us." The dismissive tone in her voice made it clear. I wasn't considered important enough to warrant my own space in their perfect family holiday tableau. Then Catherine showed up, strutting through the lobby like she owned it, her luxury bag swinging from her arm. The smug satisfaction on her face told me everything I needed to know before she even opened her mouth. "Oh, sis, finally made it," her voice dripped with false sweetness. "Actually, I only made reservations for me, my husband, and my daughter, and mom and dad, of course, just the real family." Just the real family, those words hit me like a physical blow, but they also sparked something in me, a realization that had been building for years. I didn't say a word. I simply turned around, wheeled my suitcase back through those ornate doors, and walked out into the bright Florida sunshine. Behind me, I could hear Catherine's voice rising, probably already planning how to spin this drama for her social media followers, but I didn't look back. I was done. In the taxi to the airport, my phone exploded with messages. Catherine's came first, a barrage of guilt-tripping texts about how Amy had been looking forward to seeing her aunt, how she'd planned to post the perfect family Thanksgiving on Instagram, how embarrassing it would be to explain my absence. Then came the emails from our parents, each one more cutting than the last. We could have added another room, but as Catherine said, we prioritized the real family, my mother wrote. If you can afford it, why not get another room? With your salary, it shouldn't be a big deal. Why are you being so emotional? You've always been like this, Helen, always making everything more difficult than it needs to be. My father's message was even worse. Catherine has a family, a husband and child, you understand, right? Can't you just quietly put up with it for Thanksgiving? That's always been your problem. Only thinking about yourself, never considering the family. Your sister works hard to maintain our family's image and you're just being selfish. But before I boarded my flight back to Chicago, I made one call to my grandfather. I explained everything that had happened, sticking to the facts, not asking for sympathy. His response was brief but loaded with meaning. I understand. I'll handle this from here. What happened next sent shockwaves through our family. My grandfather, it turned out, had been watching this dynamic play out for years, gathering evidence of Catherine's financial dependence and our parents' enabling behavior. He had quietly documented every loan, every bailout, every credit card bill he'd covered. While Catherine was posting about her self-made success, he was building a detailed record of her financial reality. Within days of the Thanksgiving incident, he made several decisive moves that would change everything. First, he cut off Catherine's monthly support completely and immediately. The facade she'd built came crashing down spectacularly. Without his financial backing, she could no longer maintain her carefully crafted image of luxury living. Her Instagram posts suddenly stopped and reality began seeping through the cracks. The designer bags disappeared from her photos. The luxury vacation posts were replaced by quiet weekends at home. Her followers started noticing the change, commenting with concerned questions about her sudden shift in lifestyle. Catherine tried to play it off as a choice, a move toward authenticity and minimalism, but the truth was impossible to hide completely. Then came the restructuring of his will. He made it clear that his assets would be divided based on personal responsibility and achievement, not family politics. The majority would go into a trust that would be managed by me with strict conditions about how the money could be used. Catherine would receive a much smaller portion, contingent on her finding employment and showing financial responsibility. Our parents' inheritance would be similarly structured, tied to specific conditions about financial management and family dynamics. The aftermath was nuclear. Catherine's perfect world continued to unravel. Without our grandfather's support, she had to downsize dramatically. The private school tuition became impossible to maintain. The luxury car was replaced by a sensible sedan. Her husband, who had grown accustomed to their lifestyle of luxury and had never really developed a career of his own, filed for divorce when the reality of their financial situation became clear. She eventually had to move from her showcase home in the suburbs to a modest apartment and, for the first time in her adult life, look for a job. Her Instagram following plummeted as the aspirational content dried up. Some of her most loyal followers sent concerned messages, wondering what had happened to the luxurious lifestyle they had come to expect. Others, perhaps sensing the facade crumbling, quietly unfollowed. Our parents tried to salvage the situation, but their resources were limited. They had always lived beyond their means, counting on my grandfather's generosity. Now they found themselves having to adjust to a new reality where their golden child couldn't maintain her glossy facade. Mom's calls became less frequent, and when she did call, she was subdued, the judgment in her voice replaced by a kind of confused uncertainty. As for me, I threw myself into my work with renewed energy. Free from the constant drain of trying to prove myself to my family, I excelled even more in my career. 6 months after the Thanksgiving incident, I was promoted to Senior Research Director with a substantial raise in equity in the company. I led a team that developed a breakthrough treatment for a rare genetic disorder, work that actually made a difference in people's lives. My grandfather and I grew closer, our weekly dinners becoming a tradition I truly cherish. He shares stories of his own struggles with family dynamics, of choosing integrity over appearance, and of building something real in a world obsessed with facades. Through him, I've learned that sometimes the strongest family bonds aren't the ones we're born into, but the ones we choose to nurture. I expanded my social circle, joining professional organizations and making friends who valued substance over style. My apartment became a gathering place for what I now call my chosen family, colleagues, mentors, and friends who celebrate real achievements and support each other through genuine challenges. We have regular dinner parties where the conversation flows freely, touching on everything from scientific breakthroughs to personal growth, without any need for pretense or performance. Catherine occasionally reaches out, usually when she needs something. Her texts are different now, less commanding, more hesitant. Sometimes she asks for advice about job hunting or managing a budget, skills she never had to develop before. Part of me wants to help her to be the bigger person, but I've learned that maintaining boundaries is crucial for my own well-being. Our parents still try to guilt me into conforming to their expectations, but their words no longer have power over me. Mom still sends the occasional passive-aggressive text about how families should stick together, and Dad sometimes forwards job listings for positions closer to home, but I've learned to let these roll off my back. I've found my own definition of family, and it's stronger than any blood tie could ever be. The aftermath of that Thanksgiving changed more than just our family's financial dynamics. It transformed how I see myself and my place in the world. I no longer measure my worth against Catherine's artificial standards or our parents' warped expectations. I've learned that true success isn't about maintaining appearances or pleasing others. It's about being authentic and building a life that aligns with your values. Last month, I received an invitation to Catherine's small, private wedding to a high school teacher she met at a coffee shop. No designer dresses, no luxury venue, just a simple ceremony in our grandfather's backyard. I haven't decided if I'll go yet, but the invitation itself speaks volumes about how much has changed. Maybe in time we can build something real, not the perfect family facade we used to maintain, but something honest with all its flaws and complications. Sometimes, the bravest thing we can do is walk away from the people who are supposed to love us unconditionally when that love comes with too many conditions. It's not about being selfish. It's about preserving your sense of self-worth and creating space for authentic relationships to flourish. That Thanksgiving at the Breakers turned out to be a gift, not the one I expected, but perhaps the one I needed most. It showed me that sometimes losing a real family is the first step to finding something much more valuable, yourself. And in the end, that's worth more than all the designer bags and Instagram followers in the world.